This is so much fun. Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to the channel. Welcome to another car review, and this time we're in a 1986 Toyota MR2. Now the MR2 came out in 1984 and we could get it in the United States in 1985, and this is of course a 1986 model. So the engine in this is the same pretty much across the entire lineup, the 4AGE engine. Now in the United States it made 112 horsepower and 97 pound-feet of torque. Performance figure 0 to 60, 8-second range, quarter mile, 16 seconds. So it's not blisteringly quick, but this is also 1985, so it's about on par with other cars from that era. Now one thing that you might notice is that, or you might actually not notice, the owner right here is next to me and he is holding 5th gear right now because it pops out, and that's an issue that these cars have, and they fixed in 87, but because this is an 86, it still pops out of gear, and that usually happens around 80,000 miles. Talk about mileage, this car right now has 262,000 miles on it, so it's kind of a testament how good this engine and how good this platform really is. Now we're gonna come to a stop over here. Let's try these brakes out. There's plenty of bite right there, even though it's a car from 1986. It doesn't weigh much either. It is 2,400 pounds in the United States. Now it was slightly over 2,000 pounds in Japan, but of course regulations here made that weight go up considerably. Don't know is how fast we're going. I do know that it is not fast, it's not quick at all, but it's still a lot of fun to drive and a lot of fun to roll through these gears. It's kind of cool seeing that needle move up though. It revs out to 7,500 RPM, and that is freaking crazy high. Now another kind of strange thing that this car has in the engine is something called TVIS, which is Toyota Variable Induction System. It in essence means that it has 2 intake runners. One is being used at a lower RPM, and then when the RPM go up, the second one opens. The reason why they did it is to have a little bit more efficiency and a little bit more power down low, because it's of course a 1600cc engine, and I've already told you the power level, there's not a lot of power there. This is where you get it for. This is so much fun. Now another thing that I really love about this car is this shifter. Now the owner changed out the parts because I bet after 262,000 miles it wouldn't be as good anymore, but right now it is all new parts and it just slicks into gear, and I love it. Now when you talk about the exterior styling, there is something to say about the 80s. Me personally, if you can take a ruler and you can draw the entire car based with that ruler, it's a good time, and the 80s hardlines for days, so this one definitely classifies. Now the SW20, which is the follow-up for the AW11 that we're in now, was of course that 90s bubbly goodness, but the styling on this, I still freaking love it. Now I talked about the performance figures on this car, but in 1988 you could get something that would really put you on the map, even though you were still paying less than $20,000. Now in Japan you can get it in 1986, and I'm talking about the supercharged version of this car, which was the 4A GZE powered one. This acceleration would have been a whole lot better with that car. That car made 145 horsepower and 140 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 times in that one, 6-second range, and the quarter-mile times were 15 seconds, which pretty much put it on par with the Ferrari 308 from back in the day. And that's telling you something. You're paying less than $20,000 for a car that goes head-to-head with the Ferrari 308 that cost 60 grand back then. But power really isn't everything. Okay, these straight lines that I usually do in my reviews, yes, but the owner actually didn't buy it for the horsepower. He bought it for the handling, and he is going to be using this $800 MR2 for autocross, and I think this thing would be absolutely great. It'll still have a power issue in the straights, obviously, but in the corners, it's still a lot of confidence. When I take the U-turns that I usually do, I don't really feel any type of body roll either. This car has been lowered. It is on lowering springs. I think it drives superb. Now, another cool thing about the 80s is, of course, this. I mean, I love this. This just brings you back to the heyday of cars that have a styling cue that I wish would come back. Now, of course, it won't because of aerodynamics, but there's just something to look over a hood and see those headlights, and when they pop up, it's just an awesome look. Now, like with the front end, if you look out of your rear view mirror, you see that spoiler, you just see that deck lid, the knowledge that there's an engine back there. It just puts a smile on your face in my book. I love that stuff. Now, when we go over to the interior styling of the car, it is also very much 80s. The hardlines continue. I love the gauge cluster. It goes all the way up to 9 grand, which, you know, of course it won't get there, but it's still cool to see, especially on a car that it has an economy style engine in it, and you think, you know, it's not gonna rev that high, especially back in 1985, because that really was the stratosphere back then. Another thing that I really love are these seats. 262,000 miles. I say it a lot in this review, but to have them look the way that they look, I think is a testament to the interior quality. Now, the only couple of cracks that I can see in the dash are around the clock housing. The rest is still good. And I just don't think today's cars are capable of doing that anymore. They seem to be falling apart after 5 years, like my door panels. Now, okay, this one has damage there, but it's probably because the owner drove like this all the time, which why would you? Because this is a performance oriented car, both hands on the steering wheel, unless, you know, fifth gear starts doing its thing, and then you're gonna have to drive like, well, this. Have to rev it out all the way if you want to leave from the light. Might be a small engine, but it's not underpowered for the car, really. The owner bought this for $800. The craziness is that you can buy this for $800, work on it yourself, and then turn it into a car you can drive. Now, on the exterior, of course, you know, the paint's not there, but if you spend like something like $5,000, you'll have a pretty mint AW11 MR2. Now, the acronym MR actually stands for Midship Runabout. and the 2 stands for, well, it's a 2-seater. Now, one thing that I haven't talked about yet is storage. Midship cars or mid-engine cars usually lack storage. This one, though, surprised me a lot. He opened up the trunk and there's actually a lot of room back there. They also have some storage in the front. The spare tire is there, so you're kind of limited, and it's also a place where I wouldn't want to put my groceries. That would go in the back just fine. Although, you know, with the engine being there, I wouldn't want to go on an extended trip with your milk there, because it'll probably heat it up quite significantly if you have to go far. Now, when we come to the conclusion on this car definitely surprised me. I was expecting it to be a lot slower than it in actuality was. Now, obviously, with all the sound that's coming from the back, it might be deceiving me, but you know, it is what it is. I really do like it, and also I'm a fan of the 80s styling as mentioned before, so you can't really go wrong with that. And of course, over here we got to do this hand crank. Put it in first gear. Thank you so much for letting me review your MR2. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this review. For me, it was an absolute awesome experience to finally drive one of the most iconic cars coming out of Japan. And I'll see you on the flip side. Don't be stalling it out now, noob. Well, that's what you get when you try to ginger it off the line and drive it like a normal person. You start stalling it out. Shut up! No, we're past the rest of this point. That's the future passing us. Not passing us. He's admiring coolness of what this car is, and he's contemplating his life decisions. I could never do that. I really couldn't. It'll beat us, though. I no longer want to see it. Please don't get on the gas. What do you call that? Gas or electricity? When you get on the go pedal, usually I would pass it, but I don't think the passing power is there.
It is if you downshift. Which is
it just downshifted for me. Yes. Oh, we would have made it. That lane ends. It's so nice having you here, man. Just imagine having to review this car by yourself without having a dedicated person to keep it from slipping out of 5th gear. No, rain. No. Ooh, it cleared it. I was like, no, it cleared it.
Ooh, sorry.
Oh.
I have an air horn in it.
We're talking Ferrari. I never even synced up the footage. Now that I did, I just want to keep doing that, man. That's awesome. Oh man, that's awesome. That is so awesome. All right.